a Cyber Monday deal?
It's a Black Friday deal. They did have it at 1,100, which was still a good deal, and then they dropped it to $999. Doesn't skimp on much, maybe on the memory a little bit. It'll only be at 16 gig, but that's still fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
When you have a mere 2 rounds left and you are still in the fight for the championship, it can feel like looking down a road that never ends. Likewise, if you stand on one end of the Mulsanne Straight, it can feel like it goes on forever. And today, it's going to feel like that even more, with the drivers running the historic layout of Le Mans. With only 3 points separating our top 2, the slipstream battles that will ensue may yet give Ove Trangrade a chance to reclaim the points lead. We'll see if things tighten up as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 49 World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Le Mans needs little introduction to most race fans, so why don't you tell us a few more of the stats of this place?
Joe, I certainly will. It's so great to be in Le Mans, France today for this race. Joe, you know, what more can you really say about this track? I mean, the legendary turns, Tête Rouge, you get down to the Mulsanne Straight, the Indianapolis Arnage, the Porsche curves, Maison Blanche, the Corvette curves, the Ford curves. Joe, it's a track filled with excitement, and about 85% of it is on full throttle, even in the Lotus 49. And one of the things I really loved about my time in the car is how it just dances. It dances down that Mulsanne Straight. And one of the things I learned is riding the crown of the straight is really where the speed is found in this Lotus 49 that you'll see do over 200 miles an hour today. And, one of the great things here at Le Mans since about 2012, I believe when they started the 24 Hour of Le Mans, has been part of the FIA World Endurance Championship, Joe. But enough of all that. Why don't we hop on board for a very, very quick abbreviated lap around Le Mans with another GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we're in the GSRC LOTUS 49, so let's do a lap around Le Mans. On the front stretch, you'll get a fair bit of momentum going, which means the Dunlop curve won't be flat out. Especially with the 49's lack of grip, you gotta try your best to tuck the car over to the right side of the track, which means you might get surprised by drivers sending a sneak attack up the inside into the Dunlop chicane. The tough thing for them will be getting the car both turned in and gunned off the corner quickly. You might be able to get them back accelerating under the Dunlop bridge. But the Chapel rundown is also not able to be taken flat out, so watch your line. In the Forest S's, it's important to try to keep the car tight to the apex. And then, coming off the right-hander, be careful with the gas as there's a big crest ready to send the car looping. Then it's a short squirt on the power before one of the most important corners of the track. The exit of Tertre Rouge can make or break your lap time. Being confident with your right foot will be critical. Now that we've hit the Mulsanne straight though, we're going to skip ahead to the first chicane. The braking here invites you to take it later and later since you can really trail brake around that first apex to gain time. But push the limits too hard and this simple looking set of corners can bite you and send you spinning. Once again, getting back to the power early is important for carrying speed. At the second chicane, it's the same deal, but with the directions reversed. Find that edge without overcooking it and keep good traction to give yourself an excellent run off the bend. Both of them require a little throttle modulation on exit to keep the car pointed forward. Finally, the very tricky Mulsanne corner will catch many drivers out with its kinked braking zone. It'll certainly be a balancing act. Not just the car itself, but how much time you can gain braking deeper versus being planted for a good run off the corner. Because once again, we've got a long stretch where every bit of speed counts. Now, in most cars, golf corner and no-name corner mean nothing, but with the 49 bouncing its way along with almost no downforce, they become very tricky. You've got to straighten them out as much as possible and try to avoid going through too wide. Then you've got to set up for Indianapolis, which once again provides an incredible challenge with its kinked entry. Make sure you're able to hold to the right so that you can take as much advantage as possible from the banking on the left-hander. From there, you'll need to switch sides quickly for the best line into Arnage. This is one of the slowest corners on the track, and the wall to the outside provides little room for error as you accelerate. From out of there, the run to the Porsche curves is similar to the run up to Indianapolis. The kinks would be no problem in other vehicles, but in the 49, they're pretty hairy. Especially the braking for the Porsche corner. If you stay flat out, the car likes to jump out from under you. As you woe it up, the important thing here is to set up for each subsequent corner. The bridge curves are probably the most dangerous with that big blue wall ready to punish the greedy. Into the karting S's, things really begin to slow down even more. At this point, it's extremely important to stay tucked to the inside because you can get a slowdown penalty for going wide at the left-hander. Once again, Maison Blanche is no problem for modern cars, but requires a lift in the Lotus. Then comes the Ford chicane, in which the first left-right is surprisingly rapid. Just try not to get greedy because you need the car to be stable to slow up for the second half. The curves are much taller here, but you can get pretty aggressive with them. Just make sure you can get to the power smoothly for the front stretch. And as you cross the line, you've now finished a lap around Le Mans.
You see a lap around Le Mans, which takes a little while even when you chop out those long straights. Thankfully, it doesn't take as long to go through the points, which are pretty clear at this point. It is a battle between two drivers, Michel Dudignon and Ove Trangrade, and only 3 points separate them. Trangrade finally got overtaken for the top spot, but then as you look down the order there, you can see Mick Claridge climbing upwards. So Nicola Cocci and Dave Price could yet still find themselves demoted. It all depends on how these last 2 races go. Now, what about the F2 championship? It's been dominated by one driver so far, Sean.
Yeah, well, Marcellus Burnings had quite a season, Joe. The American currently sits on top, 60 points in the bag. One drop figuring in now. David Rossi just 5 points behind, though, and he's got to watch out for the UK driver because 5, well, that's not a lot. That could all change at Le Mans today. Alex Cameron, 17 points back, but 1 up the board. And now in the third, Cameron, another UK driver, doing well here late in the season when it counts. Hideki Koivitso sliding just a bit down to 4th, and boy, those 20 points back off the lead. Looks like maybe the title is in jeopardy for Hideki. Andrew Eng rounding out your top 5 currently, 28 points back, Joe. But that fight between Cameron and Koivitso, that is definitely the one to watch right now. And of course, Rossi just looking over Bruning's shoulders. So things locked up pretty tight here at the top.
Indeed. And, well, they have a Constructors' Championship that they hold, of course. So apologies for losing a little bit of picture here, but we'll get the picture back in just a moment. The championship for the constructors is a nations championship, so it's done slightly differently than we typically do here in Formula One. The United Kingdom leads that at 343 points. That has been contributed by Claridge and Price. Now, Norway, of all places, is in second place, and that's because of Trangerade putting a lot in there. Surprisingly, they are ahead of France because they don't have drop points in this one. Dudignon has the lion's share of that one. Closing in, and Italy is a little bit farther back. Kochi's been contributing to that. He's a little bit under threat, though, of course, because the United States has 4 different drivers so far who have put points in over there. Of course, race details here today. Sean, we might have viewers, since this is on the iRacing Esports Network, who've never watched the Lotus 49 World Cup. But what are we looking at today?
Joe, what we're looking at is round 11. All right, this is the 11th week of the 12-round season here on iRacing. And Joe, today, round 11 here at Le Mans. Of course, we're not dealing with any chicanes on the Mulsanne straight today. It's wide open, 200 plus miles an hour for 10 laps under an open setup on this car. And, well, what does that mean? Well, the Lotus 49, whereas it doesn't have many adjustments, some of those adjustments may help you find a little more speed here at Le Mans today, especially down that Mulsanne straight. And, well, that really wraps up much of the details. This is a free-for-all today, Joe. Get your popcorn ready. I know it's early for some, but popcorn would be appropriate for this one. It's going to be fun.
I have no doubt about that. If you enjoy this vintage racing, which who doesn't enjoy vintage racing? I love seeing these old cars out there. You can find more of it here on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, if you would like to watch more of it, all you got to do is press a big red button that says subscribe. Because if it is red, that means you haven't subscribed yet. So make sure and click that. You won't miss a moment here on IESN. Qualifying is underway at the moment. Dudignon has the fastest time. His main rival trying to topple him, Ove Trangerade, just finished his second lap, and it's not quite fast enough. It looks like there is all of a second between them, which is a little bit more understandable around a track like this, Sean. Such a long lap.
Yeah, it is a long lap, Joe. Not as long as one would think, though. It's really only about 3.5 minutes in this Lotus 49. And, Joe, you've turned many laps here. I don't have to tell you, that's really flying around this circuit.
It certainly is. Well, qualifying is over, and not everybody got to get their second lap in, but the order is up. So let's go through that starting grid. Michel Dudignon going to be up at the top, as we said, with Ove Trangerade completing the second row. And Mick Claridge going to be starting in third. Rob Olenek starts P4 with Marco Kika in fifth, and Dave Price P6. Then row 4 going to be Jamie Hall starting seventh, Nicola Kochi in 8th, and Dylan Roberts starting 9th. Daniel Sadro rounds out our top 10. Sean?
All right, Joe, I'll get the rest here. Bruce Nelson going to start 11th today in his ride. Ian Haycox starting 12th in the number 15. 13th, going to go to Daniele Gattuso in his Lotus 49. Andreas Andreas Arvi is going to start 14th. Jean-Francois Bossis will start 15th, and AJ Bear rounds out the 16 car field today. I'm going to work on Andreas's name here just real quick, Joe.
Don't feel too bad. We haven't seen RV in a while, so you just caught bad luck having to step in for Johan today. Of course, we got the tricolor up in the sky as the French Air Force flies overhead. There you can see the cars all lining up for a standing start here. Have a split field once again. So this is the cream of the crop racing out there today. Sort of a smaller field, but still 16 cars out there as the lights are up and the engines start to rev here on the penultimate round at Le Mans. Green flag waves. Michel Dudignon with a pretty decent start, a much better start than Ove Trangrade, who thankfully not quite under attack from Mick Claridge. He's really got to stay ahead of him and stay in touch with Michel Dudignon as they come down to break for the Dunlop chicane. They're already getting mostly single file. It's the back of the pack that's dealing with it as Jamie Hall and Dylan Roberts have to sort things out. Now they head into the Forest S's, Sean.
Boy, Joe, and just in time, everybody spread out here as they got down to the S's. It's Linus Stern, nose to tail here. The snake making its way here through Tetra Rouge and now on to the Mulsanne Straight. Here we go, ready to hit 200 miles an hour.
Car is getting wound up, and you're going to see them swap places back and forth quite a bit. This draft still powerful. It's a very streamlined car, but the back end of it not as good about leaving not much of a hole. So Ove Trangrade is going to manage to overtake as he immediately moves ahead. We're going to see this all a day long. You can see, you talked about the snake. Look at that, Sean. That camera angle just shows you how they're weaving back and forth, trying to break the draft, but to no avail. And already back to the front, Michel Dudignon. But here comes the tricky part, the Mulsanne kink. It's actually a corner in this car.
Yeah, it is, Joe, and it requires a little bit of skill and a little bit of faith that you're going to have the grip down there and not slide off to the left.
We got a big crash behind. Dylan Roberts is part of that.
Yeah, Dylan Roberts. Dave Price gets right into it, too. Oh, man, Price hit hard. Daniel Sadro there at the back also, Joe.
Ian Haycock's also involved, so a number of drivers finding themselves with damage at the start. Dave Price sadly has to take a tow, still battling up in the lead as they head through Golf Course and No Name. It is still Dudignon. And now Mick Claridge moves himself into second with Ove Trangrade slotting down to third. Ooh, car going a little wide back there. I think that was Jamie Hall having to collect it. Up towards Arnage, starting to see a little bit of a four-car breakaway. One more long stretch, Sean, and then they got the Porsche curves, and that takes them to the last section of the track where they don't have to deal with the draft.
Right, and the Porsche curves really, well... That's where you're going to lose a lot of time. You're going to gain some time. It's a little bit of work getting this right here in this car.
Mostly going to be single file here to Bridge, where it almost gets like a street course, so that wall being right at the right side of the circuit. And still leading, Michel Dudignon now has Claridge behind him. As I said, Trangrade still holding on. Olenek starting to drop off a little bit back there in fourth. Will he see if he can try to get the car back up to those top three? Otherwise, it'll be he and his old friend, Jamie Hall, who always seem to find each other in this series. Up to the Ford chicane.
Mick Claridge up there just drifting it through, Joe.
That cost him a lot of time, but before we watch that, why don't we take a look at the replay of that incident? I didn't quite see what started this. I just saw cars tumbling in the background.
Joe, I
probably the braking, I would assume.
Yeah, I think Sadro, it didn't start with Sadro. Unfortunately, Sadro got there late.
Yeah, it looks like one of the cars under braking just drifted across, and then from there it was chaos.
Was Dave Price, actually, was the one that drifted across there, Joe.
Oh, sad to see. We're going to get one more angle. This is from onboard Price.
And that's where he gets hit. Yeah.
He just came to a halt was part of the problem. Right spread across the middle of the track. So they've already hit the Mulsanne once more. But critically, look at Dudignon. He has pulled a gap, but we've seen when these cars get up to speed, that hole in the air gets monstrous, and already Claridge is reeling him in. So is Ove, who we ride on board with. They're both going to have a huge head of steam by the time they get up to the back of Dudignon. Slowly but surely, that over 1 second has now been overtaken, and Ove Trangerade gets through up to the lead. They've gone through the kink. Let's see if he manages to hold it down into the braking. Of course, they've got the long stretch after the Mulsanne corner. He is going to stay up front. Now he's got to get the power down coming off of it. Oh, but he overshoots it. Going a little bit too hot into the corner, and that's going to hand it over to Michel with ease. Now, thankfully, I don't think, Sean, that Ove should lose the draft here.
No, he should be okay. He's still right on the tail of it there. I think he'll be all right. Joe, there are 3 behind this pack, though, that are working on it. They're getting there. Next time the Mulsanne straight, Jamie Hall, Marco Kika, and Nicola Kochi might find that group.
Oh, but Olenek clips a little bit of the back of Trangerade, finds himself in the wall hard. That's going to be some serious damage. Let's take a look at that one more time. These cars
just
so
sliding
hard to
through
get
there, and he hits the curb, Joe.
So hard to get them woed up. Trangerade's very lucky because I'm pretty certain that he just clipped him on the rear. Yeah, came across a little bit of movement from Trangerade, excuse me. But gets away with it. He's still on the back. So that means it's down to 3. And Jamie Hall, Kochi, and Kika continue behind him. Ahead of him, actually, now.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Kochi and Kika were side by side pretty much all the way through the Porsche curbs, Joe.
This is the battle for 4th. So just outside the podium. And they're about 4 seconds back. Now, the leaders have been swapping back and forth, but I kind of wonder if Hall and Kochi could maybe run them down if they work together.
I think so, Joe. I honestly think they'll make, they should make pretty, if they can get through here, get through Dunlop and get through Tetra Rouge with a good run out of there, I think they've got a chance to maybe get some work done here on the straight.
Riding on board with Kika, watching from the nose as he trails behind the Italian under the Dunlop Bridge, now down through the Chapel Rundown and into the Forest S's. They are losing a little bit of touch. Jamie Hall ahead of them, building a gap of about a second. That will close back down on the Mulsanne straight. One more time. Ooh, very wide for Jamie Hall there. Hopefully he didn't get a slowdown, because that could be a killer.
Nah, he's laying in the throttle. I think he's going to be okay for now.
And ahead of them, it is Dudignon leading Claridge, leading Trangerade. Tell you what, Dudignon seems to have some legs, because each time he starts to pull away in the twisty bits.
He does, Joe. I've noticed that too. Swinging around. Here comes Ove Trangerade. Wants to get into the middle. And he's going to try and take the lead here.
I think he's got it. Middle nothing. He wants to be on the point. And by the time they get to the kink there, he is indeed. Now, last time he overshot the corner. This time, he might have to handle going side by side. Michel Dudignon gets ahead of him. Brakes a little bit early. Lets the Frenchman through. All 3 of them down to the apex a little bit more nicely. Behind them, whoa, it's not as nice, because I think that was Jamie Hall sliding it through the corner. And that means Nicola Kochi is going to take the point of that second group. Marco Kika as well, a little bit sloppy and starting to lose touch.
Yeah, Kochi's been really charging hard since the green flag dropped. He's picked up 4 spots. Really hard on the brakes in just about every turn. He's using up his Lotus 49 for sure, Joe.
Now, while these 2 front packs have been battling, it's pretty separated behind them because of that big accident. Bruce Nelson had managed to overtake Olenek. That puts Bruce up into 7th. He's trying desperately to get to the back of this group. Olenek dropping back because of that aero damage, slowing him down on the straights. And then RV is back in 9th at a big gap. Oh, something happened to AJ Bear. And this was in Indianapolis.
Yep. Trouble getting in and out of Indianapolis, and that gets AJ around. I don't think he makes any contact here, Joe.
Let's watch on the replay. A little bit off the apex, but it's coming off the corner. Just a slight little touch, but no harm, no foul. He'll continue on in 11th place. Right now, we still have 12 of our 16 runners still going. Main action has been between 1st through 3rd and through 4th through 6th. And we still are only on lap 4, Sean.
Yeah, we just started.
That's how long these laps are. It's just incredible.
Well, Dunyan with a really fast lap around, but not the fastest Ove Trengerade that time, Joe, with a 3:29.5.
And Nicola Kochi just had a bad entry into the Dunlop chicane. That lost him a couple positions, and this brings Bruce Nelson into the group. It is now a 4-car fight for 4th place. Let's watch
Welcome
Kochi.
to the party.
So many corners are just deceptively tough, it seems, in this Lotus 49.
It's kind of funny. Your initial impression here is that, oh, it's wide open, there's no chicanes, this is going to be fun, and then you realize how incredibly frustrating it is to stop this car, this beast, barreling at 215 miles an hour down in the Mulsanne turn.
Yep, and well, Marco Kika did get a stretch away because of Kochi's slip up, but once again, the extra speed that those cars are getting are narrowing that gap. Look back from Kochi on Jamie Hall for the moment. Car popping out is now Bruce Nelson, as you mentioned, joining the fray. And what was a little over a second is now down to about a 10th, and now nothing. Was Bruce going to go for it? He thought about it. He was looking all the way to the inside. Almost pushes Kika off. Oh, a little bit too hard in the corner.
Poor Marco gets balked.
Yeah. And he lost a lot of time there. I tell you what, this group definitely is not going to catch the front the way that they're racing. So many errors is slowing them down.
This group has a death wish, Joe.
They really do. I mean, they're going side by side through some of these fast kinks, which, another bobble there as Kochi has to collect it back together, side by side up to Arnage. Kika tries around the outside, but there's no grip there. And in fact, he's going to lose a position because there goes Bruce Nelson.
What a turn by Kochi, though, out of Arnage, man. He got that car to stick, got a great run out of there. Back to work on Jamie Hall.
And excuse me, that was Kika going inside Snelson. Snelson was trying to go by Kochi through the corner. Right on board Snelson there. So your order: 4th Hall, 5th Kochi, 6th Kika, and Snelson in 7th. But I was going to say, Sean, some of these little kinks that are on these long straights look like nothing in modern cars, but in this old 49, from my experience, I remember them being just hair-raising.
Yeah, no, hair-raising indeed. Again, one of the things I mentioned just a while ago is how hard it is to stop this car. I mean, you're using all of the brake, Joe. I mean, all of it. You're literally getting down all the way on that pedal, and at times it just feels like you didn't brake soon enough.
As we jump back to our leaders, the order currently, which has been switching around plenty, is Dudignon in the lead, Trangrade second, and Claridge in third. Now, Trangrade doesn't have to beat Dudignon to stay in this, but Sean, I know you're just joining us. Dudignon came from a long gap back to take this points lead, and He has been much faster than Trangrade pretty much all season long. Ove's had a single win. I almost think that if Ove wants a hope at taking the championship, he needs to win just for the mental advantage.
Boy, and the mental advantage in racing could be everything. Listen, the space between the ears is the most important space on track, Joe. I've always believed that. So, yeah, a win would go a long way here for Ove.
He's still in this one. This is a great opportunity, a good track for him to have a chance at it, because it's almost a bit of a lottery around here, as you can see, with how easily you can slipstream by, because back into the lead goes Trangrade, and he's going to bring Claridge with him. In fact, Claridge isn't going to settle for second. He's going to go on ahead to first. So they all swap around as they go single file through the kink, and now get ready to woe up for the braking into the Mulsanne corner. Let's see how these top drivers do it. And what a difference compared to that second group we've seen. This group, all single file, all hit the apex, and all just speed off the corner like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's you keep watching everybody up there being nice and orderly. I'm gonna watch the craziness back here. I'm still keeping an eye on all four of them. Another exciting trip down the Mulsanne Straight.
And these three are staying single file as they come up to Indianapolis. Nobody really daring anything. And I have to think by now, Sean, that they've got a feel for how the draft affects. Do you think they're already kind of thinking about how they want to set up that last lap and where they want to be?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they've had the advantage of a couple of practice sessions this morning to work on that also, which I peeked in on them and was watching. So, yeah, I think everybody already in this group already has an idea. And the next group, I don't think any of them have a clue. I think they're just driving with reckless abandon right now. And, it'll be a survival of the fittest at the end. Marco Kike has got the lead at the moment of this group. He's the man sitting in fourth, and Coachy's swinging around.
Oh, but look at him under braking, have to collect the car, and thankfully does not run into anybody. So Coachy holds in second of this group, which is fifth overall. Jamie Hall still back there in sixth. Bruce Nelson kind of hanging back a little bit. I wonder if he's being the smart one of these four, just electing to kind of let those guys duke it out ahead, and if one of them has an incident, slip through.
Okay, so we just hit the line with 5 laps to go. Joe, I'm going to be shocked if all 4 of these drivers make it to the line with the straight car. I will be impressed.
We're not missing anything with the cars behind them. It is still Olenek in 8th, and it's gaps between all of them back on down. RV in 9th, Daniel Gattuso 10th, AJ 11th, and Jean-Francois Boscus in 12th. I think Ian Haycox did get back out on track, but he has not many, 2 laps down. Coachy's struggling today. Oh, there's contact.
Yeah, he got him just a little bit, Joe. Got into the back of Coachy there. Don't think Coachy picked up any damage.
Watch this.
Ooh, I don't know. He's sawing on the wheel.
Yeah, and that even, if anything, Yep, just hit him in the suspension. If he's sawing at the wheel, this is not going to be a fun time when you get it up to 180, 190 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm watching Nicola right now. I'm on board with him here live as we watch the end of that replay. Jamie, unfortunately, gave him a pretty good shot in the right rear, and Coachy seems to be off, Joe.
Well, and the bigger news is Marco Kika, who slipped through, has about 2.2 seconds. Now, he could still be run down if Hall and Snelson work together well enough. It's not insurmountable, but they got to start working soon.
But look at what this battle between those 4 did to their time, Joe. They're 17 seconds almost back from the top 3 right now. At this point, it's insurmountable unless those top 3 get in trouble.
Yeah, they are not catching the leaders, like you said, unless they have an incident of their own. But Hall and Snelson proving they know how this game is played. They swap it back and forth. And Coachy with his damage, tries to collect the car. He doesn't hit anything, but he slides to a halt and gives a big old scare with Bruce Snelson in the process.
This Bruce out of his peripheral vision there, just, hello.
Probably saw it in the mirrors coming too. Thought, please, please, please don't hit me. Good job to Nicola Coachy to manage to keep the car from running into anybody or anything. And I was about to say that I'm impressed that he managed to gather it up despite the car being a little bit unsteady and stay with those two. Man, these... it's even though it's called the historic course, Sean, it's still mostly a modern layout. But even with a modern layout, these old cars show just how frightening the old version of this circuit must have been.
I don't even know if frightening is the right word. Terrifying? I don't know. Think of any adjective. There's a blank space, but any adjective you want into it. I'm so glad I got this call today. Got to be here with you, Joe. My practice laps were fun. Not near as impressive as these drivers.
As we continue to watch this top group all finishing this next lap, Trangrade leads Dudignon, leads Claridge. And just to make it more terrifying, Sean, they didn't have seatbelts back then, too.
Yeah, what was that all about, right?
And that was considered safer as the philosophy went back in the day.
You wanted to be thrown from the car. You wanted to be thrown from the car, yeah.
Ooh, bit of a blink there from our leader as Trangrade disappears from the world as his internet connection, comes back. That is not good news for him. They're going to hit the backstretch, the Mulsanne one more time. Behind them, Marco Kika has had the gap come down, but it is 1.8 seconds. It's only about 6 or 7 tenths since we looked about a lap ago. And Jamie Hall's actually dropped Bruce Snelson by a big margin. Not sure what happened there. Oh, we understand that Snelson had a slowdown penalty. Sounds like that incident with Coachy forced him a little bit wide, and, well, that cost him touch. They're all running solo now at this point. Jamie Hall does have a bit of a whiff of the draft. Could catch up for a battle for fourth.
They've started racing up front, Joe. They were having a little fun anyway on their approach down the Mulsanne Straight.
Yep, that's going to leave them with Dudignon leading. Trangrade gets demoted to third. I saw him disappearing as at least on my timing and scoring as they went by him. I'm sure Ove just kind of pulled over and let them have that position, knowing it's a danger to them all. But speaking of danger, Mick Claridge knows the dangers of Indianapolis. He elects to stay behind the Frenchman, even though he could have pushed the issue. They all break and get slowed here for Indy and Arnage. A little bit of a peek out from Claridge. They're going to have 3 laps to go this next time by.
This is actually flying by, Joe.
It is. It's 10 laps is still about 30 minutes for these guys. A little more than 30 minutes, actually, I should say. Ooh, big slide into the Porsche curves, though, from Michel Dudignon. We've seen him sliding around the lot this season, look a little bit more like Mick Claridge in some cases, with the rear end of the car hanging out. This is not the sort of circuit where he wants that to be the case. That could be a disadvantage later on. It is pretty hot. We haven't mentioned that, Sean. The track temperature It's
warm, Joe. It's 107 degrees on track right now. It is it's blistering out there. Not much wind to worry about, not much humidity. So it's probably starting to get a bit greasy now as we get into the last third of this race.
And they are now into that last third as they cross the line. Behind them, I can report that Hall has caught Kika.
Oh, yeah.
So the Finn could yet lose this 4th position. They are dropping the cars behind. It is
Kika gets a slowdown there. Yep. Kika gets a slow cane in. Gets a slow cane. He gets a slowdown penalty there in the Ford chicanes, Joe. You know what I mean.
Well, I think that's a good word for that penalty, a slow cane.
Oh, geez. I hope DW didn't hear that.
Looks like the second apex. He's just a little bit too tight, and he knows it. He pulls off to the side, tries to get out of the way, and he does get back up to Hall. He doesn't lose it enough, thankfully. The real danger is losing that draft. He did not. He's going to hit the Mulsanne with that big hole in the air right in his face. And I was about to say that Kochi and Snelson are staying together. So Kochi, whatever damage he had, he's learned to either adapt to it or it's not as bad as we thought. And Snelson and the darker car going to overtake him. Back up at the front, Trangarade leads Dudignon. Dudignon looks like he's lifting. Now, there's no pit stops in this race, so drivers really have no reason to try and save fuel. Not really much in the way of a weight advantage to try and take limited fuel in this race.
Joe, Hall and Kika have resided themselves to their little battle, and those two are going to keep going back and forth here over these last 2.5 laps.
But it's side by side for the lead.
Yeah.
But Trangarade pulls out of it. And once again, we're seeing the wisdom of these top drivers. It seems like anytime they come into these tricky braking zones, we rarely see them go side by side, Sean.
Well, experience, it'll pay off here at Le Mans. It's so easy to make a mistake. Honestly, this is the easiest car to make a mistake in. Here, it's just so on edge. It really is on a knife's edge every lap around.
Coming up to the edge of the Porsche curves as Dudignon leads, Trangarade leads, Claridge. We pretty much know what the podium is going to be unless one of them wrecks, but we don't know what order they're going to be finishing in. Through karting, this is one of those spots where you can get those slowdown penalties if you go a little bit wide. All three of them probably watching out for that, and they are staying well within the track boundaries. And through Maison Blanche and up towards the Ford chicane. Now going to come up to 2 laps to go. And Mick Claridge, we should point out, not in the hunt for the championship, so really, he could be the spoiler in this. He's a little slow off that last chicane, but he should get back up to them. But he has no worries. He's gotten a couple wins. He can't win this thing. He maybe just wants to overtake Nicola Kochi in the last few races here, so he certainly could make some wild moves.
I'm counting on it, Joe. I'm counting on that.
Man, that onboard from Ove that we saw, he was sliding through the Forest S's. We talked about that heat. These tires obviously not happy.
Yeah, they're starting to cry a little bit, Joe.
All right, let's see who positions themselves where. It'll be hard to predict how the draft is going to go in these cars, where you're going to get those opportunities. Who's going to make a mistake? Are you going to potentially have a bad exit? Leave yourself a sitting duck. Get them all accordion together. Trangarade elects to be up at the front. But Claridge does not. Claridge has a big lift. Not missing much behind them. Kika and Hall just swapping positions as before. They're all going to stay in line now as they come up to the Mulsanne corner. Nobody ducking out. Everybody just biding their time.
Joe, just a quick observation. I've watched most of this season with you guys, and Claridge almost looks like he's driving cautiously at the moment, which is not something we're used to seeing out of Mick. He does seem like right now he's just kind of lying in wait here over this last lap and a half.
I think he's being sneaky. And yeah, look at that big old lift heading up to the corner. Mick Claridge is certainly sitting in wait, and he is going to pounce at some point. Oh, as long as they don't run into each other. That was Michel Dunignon trying not to get into the gearbox of Ove Trangarade. The closer they race, the more they risk the cars. On the stretch now, down to the Porsche curves. Out of Arnage, flying along the trees, flying along the bushes. Oh, the foliage at the edge of the track really gives a sense of speed. And if ever there was straight line speed here on iRacing, this is a car that has it. White flag is going to come out. Out of karting, it is still Trangarade leading. Now Michel Dudignon behind. Backing it up almost a little bit. What has he got planned? Is he letting Ove Trangarade have had that top spot? That is the car of Ian Haycox, who is not going to be able to gain any more position, so he elects to park it to stay out of everybody's way.
Good job there by Ian.
Very smart move on his part. Down into the Dunlop chicane. Trangarade still leading. Michel Dudignon in second. But even if he gets the lead early on the Mulsanne straight, we've seen cars retake the lead. How sneaky is he going to try and be here? Do you think we'll see Michel, Sean, try to wait until the very end of the straight to take that away?
I would. You don't. That's the thing. You don't want to make the move too early, right? Comparable to football, right? You don't want to score too early. You don't want to give the other team 2 minutes to drive downfield and beat you. So, yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold out until the very, very last moment.
And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. But here's the spoiler in the mix, because Mick Claridge gaining, but Mick Claridge lifts as well. Now Mick Claridge is making his move. He goes by. He's got the draft on Ove Trangarade. They come up to the kink. The braking up soon into the Mulsanne corner, side by side. He slipstreams by Ove Trangarade. They do have one more long stretch to go. After this one, he could still yet lose this position. Dudignon lets himself stay in third. A switch back up for the front spot as Ove Trangarade goes by. Here comes the move, but it's a little bit too late as Michel Dudignon looking down to the inside. They're going to go side by side into the Mulsanne corner, trying to power off of it. All three of them going deep into there, but they're going to be side by side punching a huge hole. The only downside is it is a thin street course here at Le Mans, and there's no place for Mick Claridge to put the car. Are they going to try to go free wide? Oh no, this is not going to end well, Sean.
Mick found the middle.
And he backs out of it. Still side by side as Michel Dudignon slides the car into the corner. Somehow, in all of that, Ove Trangarade holds on. He goes ultra defensive down to the inside, 3 wide into Arnage. Are they going to be able to come out the other side? Somehow they do. I've never seen that in my life. 3 wide for the lead, and they make it. But Ove Trangarade is your leader. Michel Dudignon still hot on his heels. He's got the run off the corner, but he's got the outside as they come up to the Porsche curves. breaking into it. He manages to brake a little bit later than Ove Trangarade, and he gets by. Can Ove pull this back? Oh, side by side, and they come together. Michel has to collect the car and braking to stay out of it. Mick Claridge has to get on the binders. Up at the front, Ove Trangarade gets back to the lead. Can he hold on to it for just a few more corners? Michel Dudignon wanting to win this one and extend his lead coming into the final round has to send it coming into the Ford chicane, and he's just a little bit too far back. Ove Trangarade, just 2 more apexes. Can he power off the corner safely? It's a drag race to the line, but Ove Trangarade takes the win, his 2nd of the season.
Oh, and Jamie Hall just makes contact with Marco. Kick it, Hall's off. Hall's into the wall.
We're going to watch the replay of that one because that's going to give 4th to Kika. Kochi is going to stream by into 5th. Oh, what a disappointing end.
Oh, and Jamie, poor Jamie got loose, got out in the dirt, clips the wall, and then comes across the track. Ah.
And watch from on board.
Marco's just going to miss him, Joe. Well, okay, so he didn't miss him.
Not initially. And something happened to Snelson. I didn't even get a chance to go back and look at this. Let's see.
Yeah, it was at the kink. He was too far out, Joe. He was too far out at the kink here. He was out of the line, and the car got wicked on him, just hooked.
Gonna watch on board.
Now watch the hands.
One thing I love about these cars, being able to see how the drivers work. Yeah, just a little bit of the grass, and at 200 miles an hour with very little downforce, car jumping around. There's just no saving it.
Wow.
And got some information on that Mick Claridge, why he slowed down. It wasn't an avoidance. It's because he got a slowdown penalty.
No.
So he's saying he could have had the win if it wasn't for that. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And stick around because we're going to have all the upcoming races here on the GSRC on your screen. Here we are back live at Le Mans. We just watched round 11 in the Lotus 49 World Cup. And boy, what a race for the lead we got. And it did, in fact, tighten up for the championship. Ove Trangaré took the win over Michel Dudignon. Right down to the line they fought. Mick Claridge, with his slowdown penalty at the very end, could have maybe had the win, but unfortunately had to settle for third. Nicola Cocci had a little bit of an incident he didn't have an incident at the end. I think it was actually Jamie Hall that had the incident at the end, but Nicola Cocci finishes fourth. Rob Olenek finishes fifth. It was Hall and Kika, I believe, who got into each other that we saw on screen. Hall managed to get sixth place. RV gets in seventh. We didn't really get to see him at all during the race. Bruce Nelson, we saw his incident, and that set him back to eighth. He had all kinds of problems because of damage that he accrued. Marco Kika in 10th with AJ Bear finishing 11th. And on Sean, I'll let you finish it out instead of hogging yours.
Oh, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. And now AJ Bear with an 11th place finish today. Jean-Francois Bossis will finish 12th in the number 12. Ian Haycox, he had his trouble. We saw that earlier. He'll finish 13th. Dylan Roberts, a 14th place finish. Dave Price. Dave was out early. Dave's not here. 15th today for him. Daniel Sadro completing the 16-car field in the number 10, Joe.
And that is our finishing order. So now we have our interviews ready. And fortunately, we have one of our top three to talk to because, boy, what a race that was. Mick Claridge, third place. That last lap was something from our perspective. What was it like from the cockpit?
Can you hear me first of all, Joe?
We gotcha.
Oh, man, that was like 9 laps of boredom followed by 1 lap of sheer terror. It was unbelievable, you know. And I can't believe the guys let me that gap after the Mulsanne corner to go 3 wide. And I just thought, I've got to do it, you know, because I was behind them there, and I didn't think I'd get the win from there anyway. But yeah, that was a crazy last lap.
Well, and then you guys went 3 wide through Arnage as well, and somehow come out the other side. Have you ever seen that before? Because I don't think I've ever seen cars go 3 wide in that corner.
No, it's pretty scary 2 wide there, you know. And so yes, I don't know how we made it. I mean, I don't know if them two were up on the curb or whatever, you know. But yeah, but I was so annoyed at the end. I got a slowdown, you know, after they touched. I was counting down a slowdown, so I couldn't go for it. You know, I would have gone for it like anything if I'd been able to, you know.
Yeah, we did catch that in the chat afterwards, and a bit frustrating for you. But I mean, before you came to the end of that lap, obviously you were aware of Ove and Michel battling for a championship, but you weren't. Did that mean that you were willing to be a little bit more risky to help you get the win, or did you want to try to keep from ruining one of their races? I mean, what was your mentality?
Do you know what? All week I've sort of been a bit of both. You know, I've sort of been thinking, you know, I don't know if I want to get involved in their fight, and then I'm just thinking, you know, why not? You know, I've got to go for wins as well. And I've had a few messages between the 3 of us. You know, like I was even PMing Michelle saying, you know, do you really want to fight me for this win? You know, because we was quite close on lap times earlier on in the week. So it was quite funny to share a few PMs, you know, and he was saying, I don't care about the jump, just going for the win. It's Le Mans. You know, he really wanted to win that race. They both did. I mean, yeah, Uwe's got such a result there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for giving us a great show. Commiserations that you couldn't get the win in the end, but hope to see you next week and hope you get one more before the season's over.
Mate, I'm going to crash on lap 1 next week. Trust me.
Okay.
Such confidence. I love it.
It is the ring, so I can understand.
Yeah.
That's Mick Claridge, our 3rd place finisher here today. 4th place just behind, who had some great battles. Sean has caught up with Nicola Cocci.
Nicola, congratulations. You survived. How much fun was that?
Actually, not really fun. Because you know, not really fun. First of all, because I'm not feeling very good. I think I had a bad case of flu, so pro tips out there. If you are kind of sick like I do, don't race, because otherwise it's going to be a lot of struggle for you. And on top of that, I had to use some other guy's setup because mine was way too slow. But every time that I do that, I always have this kind of super twitchy car that darts everywhere, and I had so much trouble trying to get the corner, the apex, the braking correctly. And as you can see, I've done a lot of incidents, a lot of mistakes. That is not really like me, but in the end, like you said, I survived, and I was able to get a decent finish at least.
Well, I was going to ask you about the brakes, because that did really look like where you were struggling was under braking. Was that the setup, or was that the temperature on track?
Actually, I don't even know which was how hot it was out there, because there is like a strange thing on iRacing sometimes that it doesn't display the weather, the track temperatures. But honestly, I was used to my older setup that it was super good on the brakes, so I was able to brake really, really late and have a super stable car. But yesterday I tried this one that it was overall was faster, but it was very twitchy on the brakes, on the apex, on power. You have to be incredible smooth and precise driver to have a setup like this and make no mistakes for the whole race.
Well, Nicola, congratulations. Next week, we will see you on the ring. We wish you the best of luck there, my friend.
Okay, thank you. See you guys.
All right, Joe, and that's Nicola Cocci. Big fourth place run for him today. Altogether, not that bad.
Yeah, can't complain about that, especially top split in this series. That means that you really had to earn that one. Of course, we want to thank a few people before we close up here today. Big thank you to the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And we are going to be back. We can confirm we will be back next season for 2019 Season 1. Also, thanks to iRacing and the iRacing Esports Network for bringing us on. Glad to see more people get to see with all the viewers that watch here. And again, if you do enjoy it, make sure and subscribe, because they have lots of great action here on IES and all variety of racing that you could want here on iRacing. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you head on over to our YouTube page, we also have a subscribe button. Make sure and click that so that you don't miss a moment on the GSRC. As we mentioned, we are going to the Nürburgring, and it's the combined version, so the laps are even longer and more difficult. That'll be Saturday, December 1st at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and it'll be the finale to decide it all. What a place to decide the championship. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.